Do you know that 90% of the people with English surname in Ghana, Nigeria, and the Gambia are coming from Sierra Leone? Yes, your grandfathers and grandmothers are coming from Sierra Leone. This is what happened when the British wanted to establish control over Ghana, Nigeria, and the Gambia. They lacked the manpower. They didn't have it. So they went to Sierra Leone, took Sierra Leoneans and brought them to Ghana, Nigeria, and the Gambia. These Sierra Leoneans were the first set of civil servants in Ghana, Nigeria, and the Gambia. They established the civil service in Ghana. They acted as accountants, clerks, you name it, for the colonial masters. And at the same time, Sierra Leoneans were the doctors, were the teachers, were the everything in Ghana, in Nigeria, and the Gambia. Ghana, Nigeria, the Gambia were not educated in Western way of education. Do not misunderstand my explanation for education. They were well educated in African way of doing things, in Arab way of doing things, because by then we had come in contact with the Arabs. Don't forget, for example, in Ghana like this, the Ashantis, they came from the Malian Empire. They were well read. So also was that of the Dagombas. They were, and the rest, the Sisalers, the this, they were all well read in the Eastern way of education, in Arabic and all the rest, and were well civilized. But in the Western way of education, they were not. Hence, the Sierra Leoneans were moved in. These Sierra Leoneans came to fill in all the positions, the civil servant positions. They serve as doctors, teachers. They serve in all those necessary positions. By this point in time, Ghana had nothing like Western school. So was Nigeria and the Gambia. So Sierra Leoneans already had universities 110 plus years before Ghana had its own, 110 years before Nigeria and the Gambia. Not even primary school. Ghana, by then, the very first set of Ghanaians who they wanted to go to school, they took them, sent them to Sierra Leone. Very first of Nigerians who were educated, they were sent to Sierra Leone to be educated. So was the Gambians. Sierra Leone was a center of education. So these Sierra Leoneans who came to Ghana, came to Nigeria and the Gambia, they settled. They never went back. An example of this, we all know, I've heard about Harry Sawyer in Ghana, who is a famous politician. Yes, Harry Sawyer, the people, he was able to trace his link all the way back to Sierra Leone. So also was Mr. Dove, who set up the very first press in Ghana. Later on, J.B. Dankwa ended up marrying the daughter, Miss Dove, who ended up becoming a politician. The Johnsons, the Pratt, the Thompsons, all these people are coming from Sierra Leone. So they came and Ghana was good for them. They settled, they never went back. They came to Ghana, to fill in all these positions for doctors, lawyers, the civil servant, teachers, you name it. They filled these positions and they never went back. They stayed. So the Johnsons, the Pratt, the Thompsons, the Kumsons, you name it, all these people all came from Sierra Leone. So your great-great-grandfathers came from Sierra Leone. And in case you want to know about these people, who are they? They are the direct descendants of the slaves, the returned slaves that came from overseas. So they were settled in Sierra Leone. Hence, Sierra Leone is called Freetown for free slaves. So this place was where they were. And because of they were educated and the colonial masters needed this manpower and needed them to help them in administrating Ghana, Nigeria, and that of the Gambia, they moved them over, they stayed, and that is how come you have this English name. I am not denying the fact that the remaining 10%, for example, in Ghana, some Voltarians with English names were the Americans who moved in. For example, surnames like Peter. You know, America, they call Peter. Have a handpick of them among the Voltarians and some among the coast. But largely people with these names are coming from Sierra Leone. That is why you realize that the early struggle for independence was started by these people who came from Sierra Leone, like Mr. Dove, who set up the very first press in Ghana here and started writing about the ill treatment of the Ghanaians by the colonial masters. It was this write-up that led the I.T. Wallace Johnson came over, that led the Kojo Thompson and all the rest. The push for the struggle of independence started from all these radical people who came all the way from Sierra Leone, settled in Ghana, and they thought that, yes, they had to help. In case you never know, 90% of people with an English name staying in Ghana, Nigeria, the Gambia, know that. you are coming from Sierra Leone and you are all descendants of the returned slaves. Sierra Leone happens to be your second home, if not your first.